Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever had any times where you've really had to build your confidence back up?
Yeah. Sometimes like the best thing to do is just absolutely terrify yourself.
Yeah.
And realize, oh man, I can do this.
Yeah.
I think that's like a hard one to get your head around though. It's to just go on a ride and just be like, okay, this is going to be absolutely terrifying. I might crash, but I might crash if I'm going slow anyway. So like, just feed it kind of thing.
Hello and welcome back to the Content Collective's Derailed series. This week I am joined by Matt Walker. We went for a ride in Finale a month or two ago now. We had a chat about his kind of philosophy with riding, with having fun, what his setup in New Zealand is like, and how he approaches enduro races, how he approaches fear, where he gets his confidence from, how his sort of racing has evolved over the years. It was a great chat. It was a really great ride. It was a very nice day. Slightly missing that weather now. The track was fun, although I couldn't really ride because I hurt myself previous week in Crans. But it was a really good ride. It was a good conversation. I think you're going to enjoy it. If you do, please like, comment, and subscribe. Otherwise, I hope you really enjoy this episode with Matt Walker.
Yeah, sweet. All right, Matt. All right, man.
Yeah, not too bad. Can't complain here in Italy.
How are you? Yeah, how are you enjoying being out in, I suppose, Europe and being out here in Finale?
Yeah, it's always a good time, and I don't know. Here in Finale is probably one of my favourite places to come. The riding's good. It's kind of like feels like you get on holiday a little bit. So I don't know. It's always good to switch on when the racing comes, because the racing is good here. But
it's quite hard actually. Like we've been like out for like dinner every night, and like they're always like offering you wine. Yeah. Things. Do you find it hard to be like, because this race venue actually seems quite sort of uniquely like that. Like most places, like you're in ski resorts or whatever, and like there's not actually that much going on.
Nah, this place is a lot about like tourism culture, and
exactly.
I don't know. For us, you got to enjoy both sides of it. When you're at a place like this, you got to make the most of it.
Yeah.
So we'll go out to dinner, we'll have a few wines, just actually have a bit of a laugh. But usually from like Wednesday, Thursday onwards, it's quite serious.
A bit more serious.
A bit more serious, yeah.
Yeah.
As serious as we can get anyway.
Yeah, it seems like I was telling you just before, we did a one with Charlie Murray the other day, and one of the things I was talking to him about was just like his kind of slightly more like relaxed attitude towards things, and then it seems to be a sort of thing of all the Kiwi riders. Like you guys do really well at the races, but like definitely from the outside you're having a lot of fun. Like
well for us, for me anyway, the reason why we started riding is because it's fun, and I don't never want to lose that. I reckon if you lost that, maybe you kind of lost your way a little bit. So for me, having fun, enjoying what you're doing is just as important as the results almost. And if you're having fun, normally you're riding good. If you're riding good, results follow. So it kind of like, instead of getting sucked down that wormhole of got to be super serious, got to do this, got to do that, you can actually enjoy what you're doing along the way and still make it work.
Absolutely, yeah. The big thing of what I was telling Charlie is like and it seemed a sort of culture thing from the UK, like because I thought about it a lot afterwards. Like I raced World Cups for a few years, like when I was kind of until I was like 19. But got really serious. Way too early, basically. And it ended up it's caused me all kinds of different problems, like after I stopped even as well. Is that something, like, have you ever like felt yourself kind of go down
definitely
that path a little bit?
We've all been down that rabbit hole one way or another, whether it's like just overthinking everything, or I don't know, like you said, just kind of like taking it too seriously that you lose the fun of it. And all of a sudden you're like not actually enjoying the mountain biking. But I don't know, anytime I have sort of caught myself slipping down that hole, because of the crew we were like always riding with, everyone's always real stoked on riding, and like it's got to the point now where me and Eddie have like a very loose coach setup where we get kind of suggested things to do, or we get a gym program, but most of our days is kind of structured around having fun. But like when we're having fun, you also work hard, because like I know, it just creates a better mental space, because you can just go ride and actually enjoy what you're doing. But if you're working hard, you're going to work harder because you're having fun, not because you feel like you're out slogging away, working kind of feel.
Yeah, especially with, I mean, it's not just mountain biking, it's probably with every sport, but like, you know, you ride fast when you're having fun.
Yeah.
And when you're super serious, you know, you just kind of ride stiff. And
yeah, I'm sure there's some riders out there that need to be serious to perform, but it's about knowing yourself and about knowing what works for you, what doesn't, and just kind of figuring that out for yourself, not relying off what other people tell you.
Yeah, and who you're surrounded by as well is like probably one of the biggest factors in that.
Oh, massively, I reckon. Like, I don't know, everyone from New Zealand seems to be so like-minded when it comes to, we just want to have fun.
Yeah.
And if you're having fun, you're working hard, what more could you ask for?
And it does, yeah. So you guys, you live with Eddie.
Yeah.
And a bunch of other folk.
Yeah.
And like, tell us about your house. What's like the daily routine?
So there's myself, Eddie Masters, Dave McMillan and Cole Lucas, who all ride full time. 3 of us race EWS. Dave's kind of just free racer, lifestyle guy. Another 2 of the housemates could be pro riders, and the other one has also raced World Cups. So we're all a bunch of I don't know, doers of things kind of thing, yeah, and we all just get stuck in together, go ride places. So yeah, there's 7 of us living in a pretty big sort of neglected house, yeah, that some businessmen basically just sat on, waiting to develop and turn into a hotel. So we've just kind of got this dream property of do what you want. Like literally when we were moving in, the landlord said, build jumps, do what you want. So within the first week, we'd like dug up the grounds, built some motorbike jumps, everything. So yeah, we just do.
Yeah, it's funny.
Kind of whatever you want almost. It's a weird setup.
We were talking before we started about our winter in Scotland, but the UK generally. Like we were in lockdown, so everyone's just having the most miserable time. And I'm seeing on like Instagram, like you guys just living in this house in the summer, like riding your dirt bikes. It just looks like so much fun.
Yeah, we definitely got a lot of hate mail from people just unable to do things during the COVID lockdowns, but I know we're just kind of making the most of it with the minimal restrictions that we had in New Zealand. So
yeah, and that's in Queenstown where you are?
Yeah, Queenstown. So riding there is epic. Got an amazing bike park, and they're just actually putting a lot of money into redoing the whole bike park. So it's going to be like next level this summer.
That will be unbelievable. Yeah, it's kind of. Is there much like other riding there apart from like?
Probably sort of 3 pedaling networks you can do, sort of thing. Yeah. And I know any of the riding there is just epic. It's always trails popping up and new things to ride, new places to check out. Yeah,
it looks unreal. I've never been. It's just so like far away.
Yeah, exactly. That's a problem, but also a good thing. Like for us at least, we're so far from everyone else that it does keep it quite.
Is it quite good actually? Like, because it does. I suppose there's pros and cons to it. Because on the one hand, there's this like culture of Kiwi riders coming over, and because you're so far away, you know, you're staying for the whole kind of summer. Yeah. And you have to, like, when you're young as well, I'd imagine, you know, and you want to start like racing and stuff. Like that's quite a big kind of thing. Like, how's like, do you enjoy that side of things?
It was kind of like I don't know. It's almost become a culture these days being a Kiwi and just I don't know, almost living the van life, because it's almost the only way to do it, because like you said, it's so far, it's so expensive for us to come here, and you have to go for so long that when you go home, you've only got the summer to work to save money, and then you have to come out for the whole European summer. You can't really afford to do it any other way.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And so like, I don't know, it was before our time, mine and Nitty's time even, that Kiwis started paving the way with van lifing.
Who was the first, like when Masters have you?
No, even pre them, it was like Craig Paddle, Tom Holland, Scotty Geeta. This would have been, early 2000s I reckon was their first van life experience, yeah.
And do you think it was the Kiwis that were, because of the travel over, they were kind of the first kind of mountain bike dirt bags? Yeah,
almost I reckon. So like, I know, I grew up, first got into mountain biking because of Craig Paddle really, one of the OG sort of Vanzacs I'd call them. Yeah. Where like they sort of started paving the way with, just a can-do attitude of we'll make it work regardless. Yeah. So,
the word Vanzacs I realised had some, I didn't know what it meant, there was some like Kiwi word that's connected to it.
Yeah, so like the, back in, was it World War II? the like Australia and New Zealand Army was called the Anzacs.
Okay,
So,
right.
like, Australia and New Zealand Army Corps.
Yeah.
And yeah, because we were a bunch of Aussies and Kiwis just banding together to make things work, or like, I don't know, go up against the world kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then because we were living in vans, we kind of just adopted the Vanzacs sort of name.
That's funny. Yeah, that made it, because I didn't appreciate it as much. And then I kind of realized, like, oh, there's a thing that's actually connected to.
No, it's a good bunch of mates. It's like, well, it started as a bunch of mates. It was 5 of us that sort of, it originally just started as the name of our group chat on Facebook.
Oh, funny.
And then grew from there. But
so,
yeah.
How did you get into riding then? I don't actually know much. I know, like, it seems from the outside, the last kind of few years, you've been getting some like really good, great results. But like, how did you get into riding? When did you start racing? Like that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so like I started racing BMX when I was 8.
Okay.
And did that till I was 16 or 17. So I didn't even start riding mountain bikes until I was last year under 19. And then, so it was a bit of a late start for me. Managed to do a bit of racing then, and then, I don't know, kind of finished school, had to get like a real job. So I did a electrical apprenticeship, kind of just put bikes to the wayside for then. Finished my apprenticeship when I was 23, I think, and that's when I sort of decided to have a crack at riding. Well, not even at the racing, it was kind of more just, I wanted to come ride my bike and explore cool places.
Yeah.
So like I never sort of intended it to be what it's become.
Yeah.
I kind of only just came over expecting a holiday and then I'll go back to work kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then, I don't know, the bug kind of hooked me, managed to get a bit of a deal from someone and then kind of didn't look back.
So how long ago was that? How old are you now?
I'm 30 now. So yeah, I've been doing it the last 7 years sort of thing.
7 years.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
But I know there's a lot of these young guys these days stressing about it too much now. I'm like, dude, I wasn't even racing when I was your age. Like, chill, you've got heaps of time to figure it out, heaps of time to grow, heaps of time to learn. Like, I don't know.
That is the thing. This is what I was talking to Charlie about. Is like, for me, I still do. Like, I stopped racing when I was 19.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was like, that's it. You know, like.
Yeah, exactly.
I had my career. Like.
Yeah.
Didn't really do what I wanted to. Got kind of too serious.
Yeah.
I think because it's really easy to at that age.
Yeah. And you think, oh, these other guys are getting factory support. Like,
exactly. Yeah.
How am I supposed to grow?
Yeah.
How am I supposed to do this?
And you're like, that's it now. And it's inspiring talking to the both of you because I haven't really ridden much in the last. Kind of just took some time off basically.
Yeah.
And did other things, and now I'm kind of starting to think about even racing again and stuff. And part of me kind of thinks like, you know, like that's it. I've lost that time. I'm never gonna catch up with Crystal again.
Yeah, but if you think that, you're like, that's the way you're always going to be.
Yeah, exactly.
And I guess that's why us Kiwis kind of, well, all of us in our group kind of thrive in that environment so much of not caring as much kind of thing, is that we're like, well, I have no expectations of where I want to be or what I want to do. I just want to have fun. I want to work hard.
Yeah.
And that's that. Like,
as long as like having fun is the priority.
Yeah.
And everything else comes
with,
comes next.
So then, like, I don't ever line up at a race being like, oh, I want to beat that guy or I want to do this.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I know I've trained hard, I want to work hard, and I just want to have fun, like, getting to ride these sick places. So
while you were doing your apprenticeship, so you were racing BMX until you were 19?
Sort of age 16, I think.
And were you more serious about the BMX racing? Like, did you have that more kind of too serious kind of attitude?
Nah, so like, I think that's why I never really succeeded in BMX, is because it was too serious for me.
Like the sport as a whole?
Yeah, it just wasn't who I am or what I do. But like, my sister had a very successful BMX career.
Oh really?
So she got silver at the London Olympics in
wow.
BMX. Yeah, but me and her are quite different.
Yeah.
Where she's got that serious sort of attitude and a lot of mental focus.
Yeah.
Whereas I was more, even since then, like being 8, 9, I'd be out back on the dirt jumps, not doing sprints or not really caring about the track. I just wanted to ride my bike and enjoy it.
It's interesting that like some people do slot into these things better. That was the thing for me, was it wasn't actually my nature.
Yeah.
It was just what I saw around me.
Yeah.
And just like you, like I didn't actually care about winning races. I just wanted to just travel around and ride bikes. Like that was the thing.
Exactly, yeah.
And so, but I saw. Can you just chill out a little bit, Krista? Not too much, but just a little bit. I saw from the people around me that the way to do that, the way to live that kind of lifestyle, was to be super serious. I think we had a bit more of a. I think in the UK as a whole, and certainly in Scotland, it felt like most of the riders that were doing really well were taking it really seriously.
I think at the time, like from the outside looking in, that's what everyone wanted to be portrayed as, at least.
Mm-hmm.
So behind closed doors, a lot of these people could have been just like not quite as serious as they make out to be, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because, well, especially now with the power of social media, like people do get away with portraying one thing and being something completely different. But I think even back then it was kind of a thing.
Absolutely. Do you think there's an element of that? And well, I wouldn't say it's like false, but definitely not false at all. But like you guys, you and Eddie and stuff, and Wen as well, you don't show like it is becoming less of a thing. Like I wonder how much of an influence probably the Kiwi riders have actually had on the whole sport, because like the sort of Aaron Gwyn kind of model is now like fading, and most of the top riders, you know, they're in the gym and you know that they're doing their intervals and training hard. Anyone that can get a podium or top 10 or top 50, top 100 at EWS is working hard and super fit.
But that's the thing, is like, I don't know, for us at least, I find it hard to portray that training side of it, because like even when we're training hard, it doesn't feel like work. So you're like, oh, what's the point of posting this? So like, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that think myself or Eddie are kind of just like cruising along, but I'd rate us as like, sometimes I feel like we'd be up there in the hardest working.
You'd have to be. I mean, you guys are getting good EWS results. Like the physicality of those races is huge.
But it's funny, because we don't put the effort into being like, oh yeah, we train this hard. People don't see that as well.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Like I said, that comes along with when you're riding with mates, you work harder because you're enjoying it, or he'll be out on a ride, so I'm like, oh man, I have to go for a ride, or vice versa. So
yeah, it's interesting, the idea as well that you're not posting that, because you know it doesn't feel like work to you, because there's a big thing with, we're always sort of semi-complaining about it with like pro athletes, pro mountain bikers really is like, you know, they're talking about how like, hard they're working and stuff, and it's like, you know, everyone watching you is like going to the gym for fun. You know, that's what they're doing to like let off steam after you know their day at work or whatever. So do you think that, I suppose again this was the same with Charlie, like having that experience of work, you know, doing your apprenticeship or whatever, and just being a bit older, you kind of have that realization that like this hard work that you're doing is still pretty fucking,
it's mellow.
It's still pretty great.
I think I'm definitely glad I did my apprenticeship. Like part of me is like, oh, I wish I went racing earlier. But doing that apprenticeship like taught me the value of what you can like do with your time, sort of thing. So like when I was doing my apprenticeship, I'll be up at say 4:30, 5 o'clock, going to the gym, working an 8 or 10 hour day, then going riding a few hours afterwards. And like that's kind of made me value having the time to train and ride properly. Like I'm not saying if you're working full time you can't do it. No. You can. Like I've had top 10s in EWS when I was working the day before practice.
That's awesome.
Like it's, I don't know, just a state of mind, I reckon, of getting on with it rather than being like hung up on feeling like you're on the back foot.
Totally. I think there's a difference, like, because there's not actually that many riders that are doing both. The downhill World Cups and the EWS. Like I can only right now actually think like the full season, like you and Eddie. It's
definitely it's hard because like the mental approach changes so much between both.
Exactly. So what is like, how do you approach a downhill World Cup versus a World Enduro?
It's just like a lot more methodical with the World Cup. Like you start and you're just like looking for those little things the whole time. My main problem this summer was that I'd only spent a week maybe on a downhill bike since 2019.
Yeah.
So like because I did a knee reconstruction midway through 2019, so all my rehab was on my trail bike. All my like back to mountain biking was on my trail bike.
Yeah.
So I didn't really want to push it too early and ride my downhill bike much, and then all of a sudden we were going overseas and it was like straight into racing.
Yeah.
So like
That was beginning of last year.
Well, beginning of this year.
Okay, beginning of this year. Yeah.
So like, yeah, I came overseas with probably 20 runs on a downhill bike.
Yeah.
And it's just not enough like these days with how intense and how perfect people are riding and how like deep the field of talent goes in World Cup now. But because I'd been riding my trail bike heaps, I kind of just adapted back to that real quick.
Yeah.
But
back to the downhill bike, you like, it wasn't too bad?
Oh no, like, so I struggled with the downhill bike.
Yeah.
Or just the intensity needed, but like even having a year and a half, almost 2 years off racing, being back on my trail bike kind of felt normal because that's what I did all my recovery on.
Yeah.
So then like the results came with that pretty quick.
So it was easier to get back into swing things with the EWS.
Yeah, and I think like, well, I'm still having to go back to work for the World Cup stuff to come back and kind of click again.
Yeah.
But
so what's your best result been at the World Cups?
This year?
This year, yeah.
60th in Leo gang.
Oh really?
And I dislocated my shoulder in the race run. So I didn't really try. Well,
I didn't realise. I just, it's funny like your perception of what's going on versus mine.
Yeah.
Because mine is like, I've seen you have some like top 10s in the past.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, Matt Walker, he's like,
yeah, can't make it do it. Nah.
I'm assuming, was assuming you've had some this year.
No, my downhill season this year was a shocker actually. So
have you been, did you just do that one? Or have you done?
What else did we do? I don't even know where the World Cup, it's been such a long season already. Where did we start?
Where was it? Leo gang? Is that the first one?
I must have been, yeah. So yeah, dislocated my shoulder in practice riding, so I didn't even crash.
Shit.
On qualifying day. So then qualified anyway, managed to get it down.
Yeah.
Next day was race, dislocated my shoulder in the exact same place.
Fuck.
Not even crashing again.
Fuck.
So I just rolled to the bottom, had a few weeks off then. But I've had like shoulder issues since then, which is annoying. Like it even came out last weekend in Crans, Montana, mid-stage. So I like dislocated my shoulder mid-stage.
Shit.
Kind of took some time, got it back in and kept going.
That was Jack Moore had a similar problem last weekend, was it?
Yeah, he crashed on the road and
Dan Wolf as well.
Yeah. So it's a bit about just kind of sustaining to the rest of the season almost.
How did you feel? What's your kind of philosophy around? Because I dislocated my shoulder at Leo gang actually as well.
Yeah.
In like, it would have been 2013. And I was racing. Racing World Cups at the time and just trying to make it basically. So I was like, it was worth the risk. I went to see a physio, started doing physio like quite quickly.
Yeah.
Got it taped up and stuff, and then was back racing within a few weeks. And then I did it again last autumn.
Yeah.
And completely different approach because there wasn't that sort of need to get back sooner. So like I took like 3-4 months off. Just was like running, doing loads of physio and stuff for it.
Yeah.
How do you see like injuries and how do you weigh up the risk of, because especially with a shoulder dislocation, once it comes out once, it's much more likely it's going to come out again.
But that's the thing is like, so all my ones this season with the shoulder have been relatively smooth ins and outs.
Okay, yeah.
Like it's only even been out like sort of 5-10 seconds at a time, not like minutes and like because of the way I've been able to get it back in, and like each time it happens it's kind of like less of a shock and less painful. Right now I'm like, oh well, I reckon the odds of it coming out this weekend are pretty high, but I just want to get on with it anyway.
Yeah, get the job done.
Yeah, because like the way I see it is the worst thing that's going to happen is a bit of discomfort.
Yeah.
And like the ligament's already done.
Yeah.
So like, I know, probably absolute worst case scenario, it comes out, I crash.
Yeah.
But I want to try anyway. I'd rather push myself and push it
Yeah.
than just ride slow and safe,
Yeah.
because I get so frustrated if I'm just like playing it too safe.
Yeah. So you like to err on the side of not playing it safe.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
like, I don't know, when it happened last weekend in Crans, Montana, I like kind of just absolutely butted off and rode real tight and lost so much time. I got to the bottom and I just like kind of stopped and just had a word to myself, being like, what are you doing? Like, it's gonna come out, or like, it came out, it went back, that's that. Like, get on with it kind of thing.
Yeah. How do you like, because that's always a big one with racing, and it's probably like, I kind of think one of the main, it's got to be the thing, you know, to do well at races, just confidence.
Yeah, 100%.
And like, so from my experience, since like starting to do a bit of racing this year, but before I started racing, I like, because I wasn't racing, like it took me years to build in the first place.
Yeah.
Especially at a downhill race, like they're fucking just crazy. When you're like 13, 14,
Yeah.
you go to one of those things, and I was like hurting myself all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I was away in an ambulance because you're just a skinny little like rat.
And you're just going for it.
Every time I fell over, I broke a bone.
Yeah.
Left in an ambulance, and then over a few years, built myself to I wasn't thinking about it.
Yeah.
And then getting back into riding again, sort of last year or so, I've been, because I don't have that, like I'm not that racing mindset, you're kind of looking around and you're like, you know, there's lots of things I enjoy doing, like this one's quite dangerous, like is it, you know, you're asking yourself, is it worth it? And then having that thought makes you, you know, you'd be riding down a trail and I'm looking around and I'm like,
you just err on the side of caution.
Here. Like, I could really hurt myself. And that actually makes you ride worse.
Yeah.
Makes it more 100%. Like you're gonna crash.
Yeah, you just like ride tight, freak out that little bit. Whereas if you hit that section with confidence, or like just trusting yourself, like you would be fine usually.
Yeah.
And I always find hesitation it ruins your riding a fair bit if you're just like second guessing.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever had any times where, you know, you've really had to build your confidence back up?
Yeah. Sometimes like the best thing to do is just absolutely terrify yourself.
Yeah.
And realize, oh man, I can do this.
Yeah.
I think that's like a hard one to get your head around though. It's to just go on a ride and just be like, okay, this is going to be absolutely terrifying. I might crash, but I might crash if I'm going slow anyway. So like, just feed it kind of thing.
That's exactly what we used to do every time we were out on the downhill bikes. Was like, first thing we did, and this was learned as well, because when I first started riding, I was terrified of doing all kinds of shit. Like, I remember like pressing the brakes off a drop, and then like almost, as you say, like it was much more dangerous. I didn't just have that decision to commit. And then what we learned was just like, whenever you're going down the bike, just start with something scary. Just go and send something, and then you're riding better.
100%.
Like the rest of the day.
So like even now, when we're out on rides, like you'll spot a stupid gap or something, you're terrified of it, but you just do it because you want to, for like your own personal confidence kind of thing sometimes.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's quite like, because people outside of a sport like this, and even as I say, like for me, not racing kind of puts you more in with like the normal sort of people from the outside. And then you start thinking the same way.
You're like, oh, I've got to be cautious here. I've got like, got to go get the groceries tomorrow or something like.
And like for me, the big thing has just been, it's not like broken plenty sort of like minor injuries, like wrists, whatever. It's just like a life-changing injury. Like that's the one that plays on my mind. With these things.
But like that'll happen to everyone. Thinks about it. Everyone's like had that thought process go through their mind. And like even a few years ago when I was racing World Cups, I'd had like a string of injuries. And you know, when you're racing downhill, you like try to visualize the track. So I'd be sat at the top, like trying to warm up, trying to visualize the track, and for like months I couldn't get past, like, so I'd be visualizing the track and there was a section I was scared of. Every time I'd like visualize that section, I'd visualize crashing in a different way. And it took me so long to get out of that habit of thinking about worst case scenario and just thinking about nailing it. And so now when we have like these enduro stages which have like sections that are harder than anything you ride in a World Cup, I've like managed to get that so dialed that I just think about nailing that section rather than being like, oh, worst case, I'm gonna like wash out, lose the front hair, fall down this cliff, blah blah blah. So that's like a big one.
It's a big one as well because like, you know, every race, every World Cup would always have. I remember being in Norway in like 2013.
Yeah.
And you know, there was that Stevie Smith did it the year before, that big gap.
Yeah.
And like I was just obsessing over this one gap. And as you say, like you'd be visualizing it, and like you have to just make a decision earlier on. So like the attitude, as you say, what you have to learn is just like any gaps on the course, I do first or second run.
Yeah.
You just get them out of the way.
Done. And like a lot of the time, first time you do it doesn't actually go that smoothly.
No.
But then you realize, oh, that's probably worst case scenario. It's only going to get better from there.
Yeah.
So like I like those ones a bit actually when you like kind of mess it up, but then it's still all good. So like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So you're like, well, it can't get any worse than that.
Yeah.
If you like nosedived it or like, I don't know, come up short, but you're like, that was fine.
Do you find that, because I remember sort of saying, I say this quite a lot actually, one of the things I've learned, like the things sort of going to do normal things after racing, like I kind of did it the opposite way. Like I did like 2 intense racing, and then I went and like, you know, did a degree and like kind of other stuff.
Yeah.
But the thing that I always said I took from downhill and riding was confronting fear.
Yeah.
Like, do you find that that's like an applicable skill that you can like use in other areas, like job interviews or,
100%.
or like podcasts?
You've got like, and just learning to embrace what's right in front of you at the time rather than overthinking it. I think that's like a big thing with it. So like, you just learn to, even with this enduro stuff, like don't overthink what the stage is like. A lot of the time I watch the GoPro for like 1 or 2 key sections, but then I find if I try memorize too much of it, I go worse. So like I've come into the idea that deal with what's right in front of you at the time, and that's something that you can apply to anything.
Exactly.
Just don't worry about it because it's not going to change what's going to happen at the time. So just like only worry about what's 5 meters in front of your wheel at the time.
The older I get, the more like meaningful the Nike slogan gets.
Yeah,
just do it.
Yeah.
Because that is like something that everyone, you know, like we all have these ideas of what we want to do or whatever.
Yeah.
And like you just have to do it. Like, and that is something in racing is the same.
Yeah, my favorite one for like just doing it is if there's a gap or a jump that I'm like terrified of, is I just come in with the amount of speed that you need, and then basically get past the point where you can't stop, and then you're like, well, I'm like locked and loaded. Like, it's not about getting off the takeoff, it's about being too close to the takeoff to do anything.
Yes, exactly.
And then once you're there, you like let autopilot take over, and you're like good. Normally you're absolutely golden.
It's funny though, because actually the thing that made me lose the confidence again was, so I hadn't really been riding, and I started riding again, and I thought like I hadn't really had a period of not really riding, and I was so confident, you know, before I stopped. And there was this jump that these like 2 of our friends had just built, and it had a kind of soft lip, and we were kind of looking at it like, should we do it? It was quite a big one. And then, as you say, I was just like, all I need to do is I just won't press the brakes.
Yeah,
I come in, and I did that, and like the first time, nose cased it, and just got away with it somehow.
Yeah.
And then Crystal was like, oh, you pressed the brakes on the turn in. So I was like, cool, chill the second time. Went up, and I had a like absolutely huge crash. And so since then, I've been like, I think the thing is you have to be like, when you're riding well, you can trust yourself, you just need to do it.
Yeah.
But then you have to also be like, I'm kind of relearning that after this big crash that actually for the first time knocked some sense into me, because I was like, you know, that could have been a serious injury.
Yeah.
So it's like, but I did apply it to other things, and now I'm having to sort of relearn it with the bikes.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, is you just have to like.
Wow, that's why I like it is, even now, every race I do, you're learning something, and that's why I quite enjoy about it. Every race is different. It's not like you're just like stuck on this process of, I don't know, pumping it out sort of thing. You just, every time
it's endlessly interesting. Do you know? Because you're like,
exactly.
oh, like we're having these conversations, and you're having them all the time in your head, or like with the people you're riding with.
Yeah.
It's so, people see you just like, you know, like going down, and especially though people will watch, you know, the Kiwi guys and be like, oh, they're just like, you know, just like having fun, shredding their bikes. And part of it, as you say, is true, and part of it is this very thoughtful process that everyone's like going through. Yeah,
you learn that over time.
Yeah.
You start off being an absolute idiot, and then you learn it's maybe not sustainable, but you can be an idiot most of the time.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, I think you just got to pick your battles, and I think that's what we've learned over time.
Totally, yeah.
Don't be an idiot all the time, but try be an idiot as much as you can.
Once you can trust yourself.
For me,
exactly. If you're riding well, and you've been riding enough, then you can trust yourself to be an idiot.
Yeah.
Whereas like what I learned was like you have to earn the right to do stupid shit like that. You know, you have to have the time in on the bike. You can't just come in after not riding in a year. Like you're a fucking. I crashed in Crans because I hadn't ridden in the last 5 weeks, and like just you just don't you're not react to things quickly.
No.
Like if you're riding consistently, you can trust yourself.
You learn to crash again as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you just, I don't know, can get away with a lot more stuff.
Yeah. Know when to be an idiot.
Yeah.
That's the lesson from this.
Make sure you are an idiot.
But make sure you do be an idiot.
There's nothing worse than not being an idiot. And you're just like, well, I've had like periods in my career where, you're just riding way too safe, and it's so frustrating. And that's where you like, be more idiot.
Yeah.
Kind of
You ever had times when you've like, I remember qualified really well, Montana one time. And then I had 2 days. I was just a junior at the time. I had 2 days from the qualifying to the race.
Yeah.
And like I qualified top 5, and I was like, fuck, like this is it. Like this is it. And then I knew I still had a race, but I wasn't mature enough to really know how to deal with, the kind of excitement, and then the nerves were unbelievable coming into the race. And I did exactly the same time. Like my mindset was like, don't lose what you have. Like I had it and I couldn't lose it.
But then you couldn't like
and
also
it was
go that
dry.
next step.
Exactly. I wasn't like, like, let's just, as you say, like what you have to learn is like,
just deal with what's in front of you at the time. More
err on the side of going too fast, because there is nothing worse than like riding safe and with the standard
there's
of
so
things.
many runs where I've just got to the bottom and you're like you could do that run 100 times and be fine, but you need to be on the edge a little bit more. But even in enduro, like there's some of the guys out there that'll race and they're like, okay, I'm just going to go real fast to make up for time when I do crash. It's not like if I crash, it's when I crash. But
totally. That's probably more of a thing with enduro as well, isn't it? Yeah.
Sometimes like in enduro, you ride sections that there's no way you could ever do it that well again.
Yeah.
Or like, because it's just straight instinct, you're just dealing with what's in front of you. But if you'd seen that section again, you'd like, I'm going to be cautious here because it's like beyond scary.
Do you think like a lot of people are talking and saying the standard of enduro like this year is just gone up like a notch?
It's insane.
Are you feeling that as well?
Yeah. Like the last few years, it's been building, but I think everyone's kind of getting the consistency to back it as well, not just like people doing hero runs or like a few people that have got it figured out.
Yeah.
But now it's like everyone's kind of figuring out that like the way of pushing yourself like mentally and physically, like you are having to empty the tank on like the pedals.
Everyone's figured out this.
People realise
that
that's a big part of it now. But then to be able to ride the next section fatigued as well and like still go fast. So that's like the physical, mental balance is kind of just making both work somehow.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Kind of last question then, like as one of the few people that's doing both, it's easy to, especially when the EWS first started, it was obvious that the standard of the downhill World Cups, was at a higher level. Yeah. And now it's becoming much less, like that. There's the field is so deep. Not just at the World Enduros, even. I mean, it's actually the change, the opposite. Like at the UK races now, the standard of enduro I think is higher, and the depth of the field is crazy.
Yeah,
it's
nuts.
What do you think the difference is there in terms of the depth to the field and the level that the top guys are at?
I think both have just progressed massively. Like in the last few years, everything's just come on strong with like the level of riders, the amount of quality riders, everything. It's just, I don't know, a good time to be a mountain biker for sure. The World Cup seems to be getting a little bit more elitist kind of thing, which is cool.
Yeah, it's shortening the qualifying. Yeah.
Which I see as a bit of a bad thing for people that are trying to make it as downhillers. Like, what's the difference of having 60 to 80? That's 10 minutes on race day. But like, even for myself and Eddie or like so many other riders, that 60 to 80 buffer is where you do your learning to get to that next step.
Yeah.
So like, I kind of don't like that they've got rid of that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think the level of that has gone above and beyond what it has ever been. Same with the Enduro's just like growing massively. Really can't complain with either.
There's so many people riding, and the standard is like everyone's just saying. I mean, few seconds and Enduro World Series now.
Yeah.
I mean, over 20 minutes of racing.
So
and it's almost becoming like downhill. Like the differences between the time.
Then Crans Montana, I was 8th. In front of me in 7th was 0.3 of a second. In front of me in 6th was 0.5 of a second.
Yeah. So
there's 3 of us on half a second.
It's crazy. And you can see as well, I remember like watching the top sort of 20 riders coming down. Like there is the standard, it's insane.
Yeah.
Like watching you guys come down the stage 5, it's like watching downhill race. Like you're absolutely just attacking it.
It's what you have to do these days, and it's good.
It is cool. It's cool to watch. Enduro, I hadn't really, until I went to Crans, I hadn't seen it. I didn't really know what was going on so much. I sort of half followed it, but downhill was the thing like I was following.
Downhill's like a good visual package.
It is a good visual package, but just being at the race has made me be like, oh, like I get
these guys aren't messing
these
about
guys
as
are
well.
not messing around. Yeah.
But I hope enduro keeps its identity, sort of, because it did. Well, the first few races of the season kind of went to almost a downhill vibe, but that's not what enduro is. So I hope it keeps its like over the next few races, longer format, longer races.
Yeah.
But like it's what enduro is. You want to ride your bike all day. You want to have fun with mates, and that's kind of why I've preferred enduro the last few seasons as well, because you just do a proper amount of riding.
It's easier to do as well. Like the thing for me, if I'm getting back into racing, the reason, well, one, everyone does enduro now.
Yeah.
But also it's like downhill, you need to have a downhill bike. You need to like go on uplifts. You know, training for downhill is way more time intensive.
Yeah.
Whereas like you're out riding anyway.
Yeah.
You know, so you might as well like, you can shift that and you can transfer just what you're doing anyway to racing quite straightforward.
Yeah. The downhill seems to be going like more and more tech based as well. So you're looking at like people that, well, say Loris, he's got apparently 6 or 8 wheels, all with different spoke patterns, different spoke tensions, so he can like change wheels and tune his wheels for conditions and tracks.
It's like
as well as like, cause everyone else would be like, oh yeah, a few clicks here, a few clicks there on your suspension. But when you're talking like compliance of the frame, the wheels, everything becoming to like one whole package, how are you going to compete with that?
Yeah, it's becoming kind of more like Formula One in a way.
Which is cool. I like it. I reckon it's sick that people are putting in that time and effort to get to that very pinnacle point sort of thing.
Yeah, the interesting thing will just be, you want to start, you need to pee. All right, cool, we'll wrap up with that.
Yeah.
We'll try and get, I'm hurt myself, so I'm going to not try and follow you down. Krista's going to follow you down and I'll try and keep up with him.
Sweet.
But yeah, good chat, thanks for that, man.
Nah, cheers. We're on. Okay. Enjoy.
It comes out onto a road at one point. We'll wait there, because you'll get lost.
Hopefully I don't get lost too.
It should be okay. It's nothing that mad on this.
Yeah.
There's one big like rock slabby bit, but hopefully it's not too slippery. Go.
Here we go.
Yeah, down here.
Okay. Whoa. A little bit slick.
Oh my goodness. Slick trail. Briga Destra.
It's a little bit unsure what to expect.
I think it's right here.
Yeah, it's so unsure, like how slippery the rocks are getting.
Or is it?
Some bits are mint, some bits are. Ooh,
let me double check. This in the race seemed like there was no turns off. So.
Yeah, it's a bit like that sometimes, eh?
Quite fun actually, isn't it?
Yeah.
The rock at the top, I was like, I'm not
Yeah,
trusting
it was
that.
like,
There we go, this way.
You stick that inside, I was like, what the hell's over there?
Yeah.
So slick. It's funny, it rains and then the trail's just like so dry, just soak it up.
The dirt is great, it's just the rocks. It's like, oh my goodness.
But it won't take long for the rocks to get good and the dirt dry. Tightening. Bad line. Down. Oh, big fan of the riding here.
Turn right.
Just down the road.
Yeah. Easy. Good work at it.
Yeah.
And yeah, down here.
Yeah, the dirt's good at the moment.
Yeah, it's really nice.
A few little bits of the rock and you're like, wait.
The e-bikers will be having an absolute time of it.
Yeah. It'll get mint for the afternoon, but this morning it'll be quite terrifying,
Yeah,
I reckon.
round here. This was the worst part in the race, by far.
Yeah. The old walking tracks that are sketchy.
There we go.
It's fun.
Yeah, I quite like that sort of style where it's just like wide and rough and
It's
you can't
cool,
just going anywhere.
Yeah.
You just end up in some terrible places.
You
Like,
took that wide line round.
Oh yeah,
that
well,
bit.
I'd rode it
I
before.
just got on the inside and was like, got absolutely lost.
yeah.
Sweet.
right.
Yeah, cool. Oh my goodness!
Yeah. Few flat round ones in there.
That tree just caught the GoPro on my head. Almost
You
took my
got some
helmet off.
bit of foliage there. Gotta stop and rip it out or?
I think we got it. I know. There's a lot of foliage.
Yeah.
There we go. Oh
I can imagine this would have been fun in a race.
oh yeah.
Oh, bad line.
I did it last year. My dropper post just stopped working. I had to pull it up with my,
Oh,
and I was absolutely beat.
yeah,
So I needed it.
nothing worse.
Oops, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sometimes I'll just like ride, drop a post down so it forces you to stand up and pedal.
And
Nothing worse. Oh no.
pretty much downhill all the way now.
Sick. Oh, not a bad place to be riding bikes.
So good.
Ciao. Grazie, ciao.
Ciao, grazie.
Oh, a little bit slippery.
Yeah. That was sick. That's to the right.
Oh, I do like the riding here, eh?
Oh, it's good. That is so much better not racing down it.
Yeah. Yeah, you can actually focus and ride.
Yeah, up left.
On this one.
Yeah. Maybe just wait so he doesn't get lost.
Adventure riding, my favourite.
There we go.
Alright.
Done.
Good there. Good little ride.
Yeah, that was good.
Cheers for that.
No worries.
Alright, I really hope you enjoyed the episode with Matt Walker. If you did, as I said at the beginning, please like, comment and subscribe. It would be greatly appreciated. Otherwise, we will see you next week, 6 o'clock. Stay tuned.